right, let's just be honest.
And once again, I look at the Democrats in front of me, and I realize there is absolutely nothing I can say to make them happy.
This was expected before President Trump spoke for 99 minutes last night in his first address to a joint session of Congress.
He pledged tax cuts, more tariffs on trade partners, and more deportations. Joining us live on Arizona's Morning News is Phoenix Democratic Congressman Greg Stanton. And we've got to ask, was there anything you liked in the president's address last night?
Yes, the president made the announcement that they have arrested the mastermind behind the Abbey Gate disaster that killed so many of our service members in Afghanistan. That was very positive news, that we're going to bring that person to justice, which is the right thing to do. And I thought that was a good moment in that speech.
Now let's go to the rest of it. What parts of that speech may have startled or irritated? What stuck in your craw?
Well, the president talked about reducing costs, but yet he is the one that is proposing the highest tariffs in American history. Those tariffs are going to be a massive tax increase on working class and middle class Americans. So his rhetoric and his policies did not match. He talked about a balanced budget activity, or they want to balance the budget. The very budget proposal that he just put before Congress and was voted on by Congress would massively increase the budget deficit and the debt. Once again, his policies and his rhetoric weren't the same. Of course, maybe most concerning was his attack on Social Security, coming up with these arguments that somehow there is massive fraud in the Social Security system. They called it the biggest Ponzi scheme of all time before the speech. Elon Musk, his right-hand man, the head of Doge. And that should make people very nervous about what is coming for Social Security. They're already planning to close Social Security offices around the country, making it harder for people to access customer service. I am very concerned about Social Security after the setup, if you will, by the attack on the integrity of the Social Security system.
How do we balance between cutting waste in federal government? There's waste everywhere, of course, but is cutting waste and then maybe doing it too quickly or too hastily, or maybe it's necessary? What's your take on all that?
Well, there's my take on it. I like checks and balances. I like the independence of the branches of government. As you know, we passed a budget with Republican support. 148 Republicans who may have been clapping for what the president said are the ones who voted for the very things that he is attacking right in the well of the House last night. You cannot take actions by Congress voted on in a bipartisan way, signed by the president, and then he unilaterally takes a chainsaw to them. That is authoritarianism. That is not our way of government. We have a system of checks and balances, and he's going against that system. That's being litigated right now, but that shouldn't be applauded. If he wants to make changes to the budget, if he wants to eliminate programs or even add programs, that's great. Come to Congress, make your case, and then we'll have a vote on those proposals.
You know, Congressman, the president wants to eliminate the CHIPS Act, claiming it's wasted. What are your thoughts?
Well, what are my thoughts? I think my thoughts are the same as Doug Ducey, Governor Doug Ducey, who was a massive proponent of the CHIPS Act, and Senator John Cornyn, who was in the room last night, who was a massive proponent. The CHIPS Act was a bipartisan win, a statement by the United States that we want to be a leader in this most important industry of the future. The CHIPS Act is not just subsidizing the semiconductor industry. It is also a statement that we want to have the best workforce. It's an investment in workforce training, and it's an investment in the science behind leadership and in this most important technology. We have to stay at the cutting edge. And has there been a more successful program since we've done the CHIPS Act? We have had more investment, foreign direct investment, including TSMC, in Phoenix, more than any other place in the United States of America. It has been a massive success. And without the CHIPS Act and the statement by Congress that we want to be a leader in this industry, the very investment that the president announced, the TSMC additional $100 billion investment in Phoenix, would not be happening. Instead of the CHIPS Act, attacking the CHIPS Act, we ought to be celebrating it as a huge, successful policy, a bipartisan win for the United States of America.
As we wrap up here, Congressman Greg Stanton, do you have any confidence that the president can make peace between Russia and Ukraine? He mentioned it last night in his speech after Ukrainian leader Zelensky wrote a letter to Trump indicating he'll come back to the table even after last Friday's, we'll say, contentious meeting.
Well, I mean, look, this is one of the most shocking things I've ever seen in my time in public life. The United States stood firmly with the Ukrainian people on this illegal and horrific attack by Putin. We were working closely in building the alliances necessary so that we can get a more just peace for the people of Ukraine. It's not just for the people of Ukraine. Obviously, if we give in to Putin, that puts Europe at risk. Putin has this fantasy of reestablishing the old Soviet empire. He wants to reestablish that. And right in the middle of that, our president decides to switch teams, and now he's supporting Putin in this horrific war and wants the terms of the end of the war to be on Russia's terms while we're turning them back on our alliances. That portends really bad things long term, because we said at the beginning of that war that China was watching closely. That's why we had to stand firm with our allies. But China is watching to see how far they can get with Taiwan, their desire to take over Taiwan and end the democracy in Taiwan. And China is equally watching right now as Trump shows we will not stand firm with our allies. We'll switch teams and make it easy for authoritarians like Putin. And I'm very concerned, not just for what's going to happen in Ukraine, but now I'm very concerned about sending all the wrong messages to Xi Jinping and Beijing vis-a-vis Taiwan. These are scary and treacherous times right now.
Phoenix Democratic Congressman Greg Stanton joining us here on the KTAR Newsline. Thank you so much, sir.
Thanks for watching Arizona's Morning News. Click to watch more from KTAR News and hit the button in the middle to subscribe.